this full moon in Cancer that just happened a couple days ago, I'm still feeling that energy, right? I'm still feeling it pretty strongly. And I wanted to talk about something in regards to what I'm feeling with this lunar cycle. I want to talk about grace. We don't talk about grace enough, you know? I mean, in roundabout ways, I guess we do, but never really that directly about having grace. So I would like to talk about it. Basically, here's my thoughts on it. We live in a world full of slanderers, liars, people who are quick to anger, people with no patience. You know, I mean, there's also the other end of that spectrum. We have other people, great people who have grace, right? And that's kind of where I'm going with this, is that, you know, what people do to or against us, that's a reflection of their own character. That's a reflection of who they are. It has nothing to do with who we are. How we respond is a reflection of who we are. And you may, you know, like, it brings me back to the scripture, love thy enemy. You know, and that was always a hard one for me growing up Christian or whatever. I'm like, am I gonna love my enemy? Somebody who spits on my name and treats me like shit. How the fuck am I gonna have love for them? Well, as I've evolved and matured throughout the years, I understand. Because sometimes you'll be put in situations, or you'll be in situations where you have to be in the presence of somebody who has slandered your name, or somebody who has been unjust, or somebody who has, you know, mishandled you for no real reason. And how do you respond in that situation? If you sit there and you're petty and you match their energy, then you basically tell the world, they were right about me, you know? Rather than showing up, you know, the opposite, right? If you show up and you're loving and you're kind and you're compassionate, and you don't match their slander with slander, right? You don't talk bad on their name. You don't spill any secrets that they may have told you, or, you know, whatever. You know, whatever they've said to you in confidence, you keep that in confidence because you're an honorable person, right? Because you have grace. And it's difficult to reach that part, you know, because sometimes, you know, you want to defend your name. You want to be like, well, they're wrong because da-da-da-da-da. Honestly, the most graceful thing you can do is just let them be wrong, you know, and not sit there and explain yourself, not try to fight back, not try to, you know, do the tit for tat game. Just be forgiving, right? And that doesn't mean let them in your life to, like, do this shit over and over, right? Like, have boundaries. But you can cut cords with people peacefully and with love, right? You can do it in the most loving way. And should they ever come back around and try to communicate with you, meet them with kindness and compassion and open-mindedness, you know, because you're not the person that they tried to make you out to be, right? And the way that they behaved, you know, like, though it was fucked up, that came from a place inside of them that is holding hostility and anger and holding on to a lower vibration, you know. And I honestly feel that as light workers, especially, if there's a way that we can help pull these people out of their own darkness, that says a lot about us, right? It says a lot about our character. And not in a way that it matters, right? Like, it really doesn't matter what people think of us, good or bad, all right? And I know that sounds strange to say, but you don't want to overvalue when people think well about you either, because then you're still caring what other people think, right? Because then you're still seeking external validation in that way. And to me, I think that, you know, though I have a lot of gratitude for when people, you know, give me compliments, or, you know, I'm like, oh dude, that is so sweet, thank you, you know, like, I honestly, like, I appreciate it and I value that, and I think that's awesome. However, I don't hold another person's opinion of me above my own, is what I'm trying to say. Because what really matters is that we are somebody that we can be proud of, you know. At the end of the day, some people, like, not everyone is gonna have a completely correct view of you. Everyone has their own perspective of you, and that's all based on their own unconscious bias. It's all based on their own life experiences. It's, you know, they're taking a collective of information that they've acquired throughout their life, and they're projecting that onto you as their perspective of you, their perception of you. So, you know, there's that. If we live a life of integrity, it doesn't matter what people say about us, because we know it's true, right? Like, somebody could accuse you of murder or, like, or the worst things, and if you know it's not true, you're gonna probably just sit there and be like, okay, like, whatever, say what you want. And I mean, I guess there are some people who are wrongfully convicted and stuff, and that's fucked up, and I hope that they find justice, you know, but that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who slander your name and try to ruin your reputation, because a lot of the times when people are doing that, it's because they weren't able to affect you in the way that they wanted. They weren't able to get a reaction out of you in the way that they wanted, and so they want to distort other people's perception of you, right? They want to make you out to be something that you're not. And it doesn't matter how stupid it is, like, what they say, like, they'll say it, right? And the thing is, if somebody is committed to not liking you, they will believe it, right? And that's something that we have no control over, right? If somebody, you know, because they have already been looking for a reason to not like you. They've already been looking for reasons to judge you or to criticize you or whatever. They're already in that mindset. They're already looking for ammunition against you, because some people are just like that. You know, they just already don't want to like you, so they will believe whatever is fed them, right? Without trying to come to any real conclusion of their own, or trying to talk to you and understand, you know, or see you from another perspective. And I think one of the strongest things I've ever been told in my life that I hold on to is that what other people think about you is not your business. And, you know, for a long time, I tried, you know, I cared. I cared about what people thought, because I was like, you're being misinformed, And at the end of the day, when I got to that mindset of what they think about me is not my business, it liberated me, right? It liberated me a lot, because they could think whatever the fuck they want. They don't know me, right? Know me by my works, you know? It's like, they don't know me. And if they don't know me, you can think whatever, you know? And that's just how it is, you know? And I feel that grace is also, like, being able to allow people to have their own opinions of you, good or bad, and not allowing it to affect who you are and your integrity and the way you are, the way that you behave with them. All right, love your enemy. I don't feel that I have enemies, you know. Because I don't make an enemy out of anybody. Other people may, you know, if somebody were to view me as an enemy, I would still have love for them, and I would still treat them in the same manner that I treat people that I love, you know? Because it doesn't do me any good to have enemies, right? It doesn't do any of us good to have enemies. And honestly, I just simply don't want them, right? I don't have energy for that. I'm too fucking old. I'm like 8 billion years old or some shit. So, you know, you reach a point in your life where, you know, if somebody views you as competition or somebody views you as an enemy, then it's like, that's on them. That's their character. That's who they are. That's a reflection of them in their own light, their own whatever, you know. You don't have to feed into it. You don't have to play. You don't have to participate in the head games. You don't have to participate in any of that. And also, that's pretty liberating too, to not have to participate in it. You know, to just be like, alright, people gonna be people. Whatever, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna just do my thing. And, you know, that's just, you know, it's giving yourself grace too, because then you're not torturing yourself with the perspective of others, you know. You're not torturing yourself with their ideals and, you know, what they think is right and what they think is wrong and da-da-da-da-da. You know, like, I used to care a whole lot about, like, my family's perception of me. And then when I started getting, like, piercings and tattoos, cutting my hair and wearing pants, you know, it got to the point where I had to really liberate myself from their opinions. Because, you know, like, it was just judgment. You know, even the last time I saw my grandma, you know, I had brought a bottle of mead, and she was like, oh, well, I don't drink, and, you know, whatever. And I was like, that's fine. I didn't offer you any, you know, and I continued drinking, you know, and I could tell that she was just kind of like, what, you know, because, like, my mom and all my aunts have always been like, they always cared so much about her opinion of them, right? They always were like, let me conform real fast so mom's not disappointed. Well, she's my grandma. And I was just like, you know, here's the thing. I'm 32, right? I'm covered in tattoos. I cut my hair. I drink sometimes, you know, and it's like, and I could tell she was like really bothered by the fact that she couldn't control me as a person, that her opinions held no weight on who I am, what my life choices are, you know. But why would they? I barely know her, you know. And, you know, it's kind of funny because I never thought that I would get to that point where I was just liberated from it. And where, you know, whatever judgments they held, whatever they thought of me, whatever, you know, it just didn't matter anymore. Because what mattered is that I'm proud of me. I know who I am. You know, like, go ahead, go tell your whole church about how I drink alcohol when I'm 32. Cool. You know, it's like, it doesn't affect me. Any of their judgments, not my problem, you know? And that doesn't mean, like, you know, if I was at her house, I probably wouldn't bring alcohol and, you know, out of respect. However, we were not at her house, you know, and I, you know, we were at my mom's house, and at my mom's house, That's allowed, actually. You know, like, my mom knows me. And, you know, whether it's blood family or not, it doesn't mean that I need to be any different, right? Like, when you know yourself, when you're confident and comfortable with who you are as a person, it's like any kind of constraints that society tries to put on you or whatever, it's like you become free of it. You know, you don't need all that. You don't need all that pressure in your life. It's hard enough to exist, right? Like, why the fuck should it be such a torture to, like, live up to everyone else's expectations and ideals, you know? And we're not cut out for that. It's like, it reminds me of that movie Saved, when the girl, like, she's talking to the pastor and she's like, if we were all supposed to be the same, then why did God make us all so different? You know, like, if we're all supposed to conform and just be like, you know, have the same relationship with God and all that, why are we all so different? Sorry, it's a bumpy road, guys. And, you know, that sticks with me a lot because, you know, we are all so different. And we all are important and special in our own way. Like, we all have valuable aspects of ourselves, you know. Why should we minimize ourselves to make other people comfortable? You know? Having grace means being loving and compassionate. It does not mean to compromise who you are for the comfort of others. If they're uncomfortable with who you are, shine fucking brighter, dude. Shine brighter. Because if you're not doing anything wrong and just your existence is disturbing their soul, then maybe that's what they need. Right? If you ain't doing nothing wrong and just being yourself is disturbing their peace, well, they didn't have peace to begin with. You know? They're so fucking concerned with who everybody else is, and so few people are actually concerned about who they are, right? Or about how they affect other people, or, you know, about any of that shit. You know, they're so concerned about everyone pleasing them. However, they never once stop to think about how they affect you and how you feel about them, right? And I'm not saying this so you can go and be spiteful. Obviously, like, love them, right? Be loving. It's just, don't be manipulated, right? Don't allow other people to infringe on who you are, because who you are is very fucking important. It's very important. It's important that you are who you are and that you bring the light that you bring, right? Or whatever you're bringing to the table. Your art, your creativity, your unique signature in the cosmos. We need you, right? To just be you. And I think that more people really need to hear that and to understand that, because we live in a world where conformity is like the norm. You know, everyone is like, oh yeah, conform. And I just can't, right? And I don't feel like any of us should. Some of us are just not cookie cutter people, right? Some of us are not Stepford wives. Some of us we're different, right? A lot of us, all of us, we're all different. We all have a different thing. And I think that unique cosmic signature that you have is so vital to the way that everything is, right? We need you. We need that. We need your energy like that. And fuck anyone who says otherwise. I don't care if it is your grandma, right? I don't care if it is a relative. I don't care who the hell it is, right? You can be polite to people and still not give a fuck about what they think about you, right? And in the same way, when they're so vocal about their opinions of you, are they being polite to you? Right? Are they valuing your feelings? Or is it just all about them, right? Is it all about their subjective universe and how they think you should behave and how you should operate and da-da-da-da-da? Because, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be all about them. Your existence is not all about them. And you can still, be nice, be compassionate, be loving, Also, have strong boundaries, and also don't let people steal your unique nature from you, right? To make you conform, to be like them, because, oh, well, they're doing so well, it must work for you. Well, you know what? I don't believe that. I don't believe that the way that one person operates, just because it works for them, I don't believe that that's going to work for everybody. It's not a one size fits all, It's, we all have to figure our own shit out, You integrate your shadow, become at peace with yourself, know thyself, right? Inside and out, know your lower levels and your higher levels, know who the fuck you are. And that is the greatest power you could ever wield in anywhere, in all the cosmos, right? Is being completely you and being completely loving at the same time, right? And sometimes tough love is a thing, right? And let's not disregard that, because tough love is important. And sometimes we gotta show that. Sometimes we gotta give a little taste of tough love to people, right? And that doesn't mean that we love them less. It doesn't mean that we think less of them. But we can politely say, I think you're disregarding my feelings. I don't think that you care for me as a person at all if you want me to conform to your ideals. Because love isn't like that, right? We learned about that in 1 Corinthians 13, right? Love ain't like that. Love ain't cruel, right? Love is kind. Love is patient. Love is understanding. Love doesn't boast, And it's not about being somebody that they feel proud of. It's about, are you proud of you? Are you proud of your decisions? About, that's what it's about. But yeah, anyway, I am done with this rant. Namaste. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Actually, I'm not done with my rant. I thought I was done. And then I was like, you know what? I barely covered grace because I was so busy focusing on the other aspects. So let's get back to grace. About being warm and compassionate, and about letting your character speak for itself, and really not having to explain yourself, because your character speaks for itself, right? Your character shows who you are. Getting to a place of no longer having to explain yourself is pretty nice. And yeah, like I said earlier, let people be slanderous, let them lie, let them do what they're gonna do, because that's coming from them. That's their character. Your character does not need to match that, right? You can be fully you, and I feel like when you're fully you, you don't really feel the need to fight anymore, right? Or to argue. Also, that's another part of grace, right? It's like allowing people their own opinions. We don't have to fight over every opinion. We don't have to try to force people to see everything from our point of view. We don't have to try to like dogmatically convert people to our way of being, Sorry, somebody was just sitting there in the middle of the road. I was gonna let them do it. I could tell my face was showing my opinion on that, but whatever. Yeah. So anyway, we don't need to try to force our way of thinking onto anybody. That kind of goes back to allowing everyone to be uniquely themselves, right? And it's like people are gonna have different political opinions, religious opinions, spiritual opinions, financial opinions, whatever, and ultimately having grace is allowing that, right? Just allowing everyone the space to think like they think and to be like they be. Because, like, what are you gonna do about it? Argue with them to death? Just stress yourself out. Stress is one of the biggest killers in the world right now. And why allow yourself to deteriorate? When we can show them a prime example of what it is to exist in loving kindness and forgiveness, to not be cruel to those who have been cruel to us, to not return hostility for hostility, to not do tit for tat. We can demonstrate grace in that way, right? By giving grace, being merciful with people, and it'll trip them up, man. It'll trip them up. It's crazy, because I remember when I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm just surrendering. I'm just gonna go with the flow, and I'm not gonna try to force anybody to think how I think or whatever. I'm just gonna let everyone have their opinions, and that's it. And it was crazy the reactions I got to that. People I thought would never come back into my life have come back into my life, and people that I thought I'd never make peace with, I've made peace with. And it was because I was able to meet them from a place of understanding rather than confrontation and conflict and trying to, have beef or whatever. It's not fun to have beef with people, actually. And it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me now in retrospect why I ever gave energy to it in the first place. And it doesn't take our strength away when we are kind and compassionate to people, when we're forgiving, when we're understanding and merciful. It's actually the opposite, right? That shows incredible strength. It shows incredible willpower and the ability to end a negative cycle, right? To be like, you know what? This cycle ends with me, actually. I don't care what they said, I have a friend, and he had introduced me to his girlfriend once at this bar. And I remember his girlfriend came up to me and she's like, at first I hated you. And I was like, why? Why would you hate me? That's okay, And she just went on her whole thing about, her first perspective of me or whatever. And I was like, I was glad that instead of matching that energy of like, oh, we gotta fight now, instead I was just loving, I hung out with her the whole night, we joked around, it was fun, and through that I made a whole new friend, And I think also, like, she learned something about, you know, how sometimes we misjudge people. And, you know, it's just how it goes. Sometimes that happens, right? Doesn't mean anybody's a bad guy or whatever. It's all opinions come from a place of life experience, right? And we have to understand our experiences in the past with other people are not going to match the experiences that we're going to have with people in our lives currently, right? Or in the future. Because everyone's different. Everyone's going to give you a different taste of reality. Everyone's going to have their own little flavor, you know? And sometimes it'll be good, sometimes it'll be bad. But judging all experiences based off of a few is not fair to, you know, those that you meet in the future, right? It's not fair to your future friends. It's not fair to your future partners or your future whatevers, you know? Giving everyone the opportunity to demonstrate who they are, I think, is a form of grace. You know, to give everyone an opportunity to show up as themselves and to be like, here I am. This is my energy. This is who I am. You know, I think that's important. And you'd be surprised. You know. You'd be surprised by the amazing friendships you could make through that, you know? And having grace with people brings that, like, energy of unity, right? In a world where we are, like, brainwashed into division, right? If you watch any TV show, there's always going to be dramas, right? Always gonna be a little there's always, like, you know, like, drama is just fed to us, you know, through music, through movies, through TV shows, through the fucking magazines, you know, all that shit. It's all just drama being fed to us. And how strong are we if we're able to see that and not conform to it and not allow that to be a part of our personal reality, you know? If we allow ourselves this space to be different. But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much my rant. Namaste. I love you guys. Bye.